complete performance tonight, Brad. I imagine you're really happy with the way the boys ran out the second half in particular.
Yeah, I agree, Nick. I think that's the word for it. It was complete. I think 35 points up roughly at half time, and then pretty much a similar margin in the second half. So it was good to keep going, and with some personnel changes as well. I know Carlton had some personnel changes, but we got a good look at Trent Dumont, who we've wanted to get into the side for a while, who I thought stood up, looked like an AFL player today, and Farron Ray played the role that we knew he could, and has been playing at VFL level. So yeah, it was good. It was pretty dominant across the board.
Todd Goldstein had a pretty inexperienced opponent tonight, but are you happy with the way that he played out the 4 quarters and really asserted himself on the game?
Yeah, I was. I thought he was great. I think he gave our midfield really good use, and Goldie has been challenged this year in terms of opposition ruckmen who have been having really good seasons, and who the premier ruckman at the moment is in the competition is open to interpretation or opinions of others. But Goldie really set himself a few years ago to assert himself on the competition, and I think he's taken his game to a new level. He's got different strings to his bow now, and he's got a bag of tricks now that means that he can adapt his game based on what the opposition are doing. So it was another really good performance from him.
Did you put it on your players to really keep the pressure on after last week?
No, we just, at half time we felt we were in the position we were in because we were executing all the things that we planned. Last week, you can dwell on it too much, but we looked at a few different things. We made it very difficult for our guys to play the way that we want to play consistently. But that being said, we kept Essendon to 4 points in the first half. So, I think Mason Wood going off for concussion, the players sometimes just feel like they've got the opposition at arm's length and they switch off for a second. But we got a good lesson last week and a good wake-up call that if you're a little bit off, anyone can come at you, and we all know the problems and the challenges that Essendon face. And we just got that perfect lesson. When you're a little bit off, anyone can make you look silly. So the boys really knuckled down tonight and did a really good job.
Ben Cunnington seemed to pay fairly close attention to Patrick Cripps around the stoppages. Was that a specific role that he had tonight?
Yeah, that was the preferred matchup wherever possible. I think Cripps has had a great year. He's a really unique player, and we think Ben is one of the dominant first possession type midfielders in the comp, and he relishes the challenge. And we obviously without Ben Jacobs, we went with a slightly different midfield structure, but there were still some preferred matchups in there, and that was one of them.
Is Robbie Tarrant just starting to realise his potential at the moment, just having consistency in his footy and his body, do you think?
I think his body is the first thing. We've had real confidence in Robbie over a long period of time. The challenge for him had purely just been continuity. So I think he's had 4 shoulder reconstructions over the journey and broken leg and you name it. So our job was to help him get fit and stay out on the park, because we always knew that he could play a role for us, and whether that was forward or back. But he's playing great footy at the moment. But I think he'd be the first to tell you that he's part of a group that is improving all the time. And Scotty Thompson, Michael Friedo's got some really good experience next to him down there.
Heading into unprecedented territory, not only for this team but for the club, with 9 wins in a row as a history maker tonight. How do you go about finding the balance between obviously celebrating the position that the team is in, but also keeping expectations in check?
We're really focused on Sydney this week. It'll bring us back down to earth pretty quickly if we're not careful. So that's going to be a really good challenge for us. But to be perfectly honest, we're just focusing on getting to the mark that historically says you're going to play finals, and that usually is 12 wins. And if you can get that, then you reassess from there. So we're certainly not looking any further forward than that. And to achieve that objective, our 10th win hopefully will come against Sydney this week. But I think it's for other people to start projecting forward. Our challenge is to keep focusing on that historical mark of 12 wins.
It is a great block of games coming up, though, isn't it, to really test yourselves?
Yeah, it is, and we've built a really good platform that we'll come up against some really good opposition. And the reality is, win, lose or draw, we'll learn a hell of a lot out of all of those games. So this is going to be a really good test for us and one that we're up for.
Sometimes you see, Brad, at the end of a team's sort of long winning streak like this, that they might be a little bit flat or sort of worn out by it, but there seems that sense that perhaps you've had a few flat weeks leading up to this, but building nicely for the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's such a tough competition. You can be a little bit off and you get opened up. So the fluctuations probably get magnified. The reality is the effort's probably not too different. Players carry little niggles here and there, and you have personnel changes and all those sorts of things that happen. But I think that's one of the things that I'm really pleased about with our team now, is that we're getting the fundamentals of our game are really well ingrained, and I think we come to games knowing that we're going to get a baseline level of effort, and there's a method that goes around that too. So that's what we base our game around, and there'll be days where you really dominate going forward. There'll be days when you don't use the ball so well, and similarly in defence. But tonight I thought was pretty composed and pretty dominant at both ends.
Do you allow yourself and your players, I guess, a moment of pride in that little slice of history you've created for your club?
Not really. I think that but I'm wrapped for the supporters. I think that those sort of things are great for your members and great for your sponsors and all those things. But the players know that there's a really good opportunity in the second half of the year. So you enjoy the wins, all the wins, for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you move on.
You mentioned Trent tonight before, obviously, he got tonight, Baron Ray, you had Majak last week. Is that something you'll look to continue doing over the next few weeks, is giving those guys a look at senior footy?
If their form warrants it. I mean, we'll reward form in the VFL, even if structurally it's not perfect for us. I mean, we'll have a look at different things. I mean, last week was probably the extreme end of that. Going in with 5 key forwards and a ruckman is probably not something that's sustainable in the long term, but we really felt that Majak had been playing great footy, and he didn't disappoint last week. I thought he was really good. Mason obviously got concussed, but he's played some really good footy for us too. So we'll keep working with what's the best system, but ultimately we'll reward form.
And Daniel Wells expected to be fit for next week, Brad?
I said last week I wasn't going to make these sort of predictions. The truth is I don't know. I mean, he's in a really good place mentally. He feels like he's being unfairly held back. So, I mean, we're hopeful, but one thing I can say is that regardless of what the medical staff say, unless he is absolutely perfect, we won't put him out there. So if that means that he misses a little bit more footy, then we're just determined to get him back and make sure he's right, because we won't go through the in 1 week saw the next. So we've got to do the right thing by him there.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.